Live. This is morning time. Got my morning coffee here. It's about 6 a.m. in Thailand. Like I said, my plan is to go live every day. So sometimes it'll be like this, sometimes it'll be at the desk by my computers, stuff like that. But if I'm in the mood to kind of go live, I go live right here. That way, I don't have to set everything up on the computer. I do like setting everything up on the computer, though. I do like it like that, just because lots of I can go ahead and get everything done. You can do the thumbnail. If people kind of see that stuff, they know what the live's about right away. Uh, but I just want to jump on here. Or see what we're going to do here. I might just sit here, see who pops on, answer some questions, drink my morning coffee. Try to pop on at different times because Thailand time it's 6 a.m. here, so East Coast in the United States it would be 6 p.m. So it's 3 p.m. if you live in California. So it's not maybe not the best time to go live, but just kind of play with different time frames. Because if I wait later on, maybe it might be 8, 9, 10 o'clock my time in the morning. So so it's a little bit later in the evening. But we'll see. We'll just play with times and stuff like that, see what works out. And plus, I know just with YouTube algorithm, how it kind of works is the more you go live, the more consistent you are, the the more it shares your lives. That's just kind of what I've seen. Like when I go live every day for a week or every day for like 2 weeks or something like that. But it tend to like the more consistent you are, the more it will alert everybody you're live and stuff like that. Share your live, all that jazz. But this could be boring. I did bring this book with me, The Science of Getting Rich, but I thought if I'm in the mood to read it, this is the perfect time. It's perfect time for storytelling. Let me tell a story with Chad's coffee. I don't know, maybe this Sunday, like when I did I still do it, the Sunday coffee talk. Uh, the first idea for Sunday coffee talk was I was going to do that live, but it's kind of hard to do the Sunday coffee talk live because when it's Sunday morning here, it's Saturday evening in the States, so it's not Sunday morning everywhere. So we'll see how this time kind of works. If I feel like more people's popping on, kind of later on, then I'll do later on. But get that notification off there. But we're kind of play with times, kind of play with the Thailand time or whatever, and all that jazz. Maybe we will. What chapter were we on? We were on chapter 2. We did chapter 1 yesterday, The Science of Getting Rich. And if you want to pick up this book, you can pick it up it's called The Power Wealth Classics. It's on Amazon. It's 3 books in one. So you get the Invisible Power, you get The Science of Getting Rich, and you get Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So you get 3 books in one. These are probably my top 3 books of all time. Like I said, with The Science of Getting Rich, kind of the first few chapters kind of set the tone of the book. Okay, these can kind of be the most boring chapters because it's kind of setting the tone. Uh, so we might go through. We'll see. We might go through both chapters today. Maybe not. But we're on chapter 2. Chapter 2 is There is a Science of Getting Rich. But really, once we hit to chapter 4 and on is really the meat and potatoes of the book. So chapter 4 and on is what you really have to pay attention to. But chapter 1, remember the review of chapter 1 is kind of your right to be rich, kind of getting that in your mindset. Your right to have abundance, your right to be able to do, kind of be, do, have anything you want. But success is living life on your terms, basically. Uh, and that's kind of the whole concept Wallace Waddles wanted you to get in chapter 1, kind of to walk away with chapter 1. And since my eyes are in the morning time blur, uh, yep, got my glasses on. That way I can see. Then I would go like this. So let's do this. There is a science of getting rich, chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. It is an exact science, like algebra, like arithmetic, like math. Okay, isn't it funny? Like when you say there's a science of getting rich, it's like when you look at universal laws. Okay, you look at manifesting. Okay, is this is all kind of runs into, it's all correlated together. Is And that's why I love how Wallace Wallace put this, is there is an exact science of getting rich. It's so exact, like science, like math, like arithmetic, like algebra. Okay, it's so exact. And it's so true for universal laws. When you try to get manifesting for work, there's certain laws, there's a science of getting these universal laws to work for you. Okay, because they're exact. Okay, that's why they're called universal laws. Okay, bottom line, I don't want to get off on a tangent on that. You know what I'm talking about. Listen, there are certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches. Once you learn and obey these laws, you will automatically become a member of that select group of people who live this secret. And you will get rich with mathematical certainty. There is but one great law, namely energy is. All physical and mental science is based on this one great law, its its 7 subsidiary laws which operate in conjunction with each other. The law of vibration is a law that serves as a foundation for the law of attraction. So then he goes down through kind of the 7 main laws, universal laws. It's the law of perpetual transmutation, the law of relativity, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, and the law of gender. And I love kind of how you started off that paragraph, like all physical and mental science. What you have to understand is this stuff's been around for hundreds of years. I mean, even thousands of years, because this kind of goes back to biblical texts. So the only reason I say that is because of oh, my brain's going to go dead because I'm gonna have brain farts because it's in the morning. Um, oh, what's that science out now that like when you study like metaphysics, when you and stuff like that, like and people come out now and say, well, we just have proof now that law of attraction is real. And they literally almost verbatim talk never Goddard without mentioning his name, or Joseph Murphy or Thomas Troward or the greats that taught this stuff. I mean, if you really like, listen, guys, if you really dig deep in their material, like of their time, all their material is science backed. so, so this stuff isn't new information, even though you got some people treating it like it is. Okay, let's kind of move on. The best definition of natural law seems to be that it is a uniform and orderly method of the operatant of God. Unlike any other form of animal life that has been created, we were given the power of choice or free will. Along with the power came certain responsibilities. The capacity to choose. I'm just looking here. I'm on my phone, so if someone like comments, I'm gonna have to go like, "Oh, what is that?" I'm not on the computer where everything's like so big. The capacity to choose does not involve freedom from the consequence of your choice. The laws or rules which govern every individual, in which we will cover to some degree in this book, are as exact as the laws which govern the material universe. You can act in accordance with these laws, or you can disregard them, but you cannot in any way alter them. You understand what, like, a lot of people think they can manipulate the laws of the universe, or a lot of people think they can manipulate God. You understand? Like, like what it's saying right here, you can't manipulate these laws. Okay, you can't alter these laws. Okay, they're exact. Okay, they're exact to a T. That's why he said in the earlier, and right in the beginning of the chapter, the laws are so exact. They're exact like algebra, like math, like science. You can't change them. You can't alter them. But lots of times we want to live like, because lots of times we think we can manipulate other people. So think, since we think we can manipulate other people, we go to work, we manipulate our boss, we brown nose our boss. We've learned that in school, brown nose our teachers and manipulate our teachers to like us. Okay, then we get so confident in this, we think we can manipulate the universal laws. We think we can then manipulate God, but that's where it stops. Okay. Listen, you can act in accordance with these laws, or you can disregard them, but you cannot in any way alter them. The law forever operates and holds you to strict accountability, and there is not the slightest allowance made for ignorance. As you have witnessed viewing the secret, the law of attraction, we will deliver to you what you do not want as quickly as certainty certainly as it will deliver what you do want. I'm going to reread that because that was a little bit wordy. Okay, remember, this is a little bit old English. This was cleaned up a little bit from the original version, but it's still a little bit wordy. So listen, the law of attraction. Okay, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Manifesting, law of attraction, law of assumption, it all means the same thing. Don't go down the rabbit hole of this. Okay, don't make it more difficult than what it should be. Okay, listen. The law of attraction will deliver to you what you do not want as quickly and as certainly as it will deliver what you do want. So all it's saying is manifesting, law of attraction, law of assumption. It's a double-edged sword. Okay, it's gonna. This is where people get confused, or they don't want to accept it. Is the law of attraction is a double-edged sword. It's giving you things you don't want, and it's giving you things you do want. It's giving you both. Okay, okay. It's not just giving you one thing. This is where a lot of people, they want to debate law of attraction, debate law of assumption, or whatever you want to call it. Debate consciousness, meaning like if something bad happens to them, they basically like, see, law of attraction don't work, or something bad happened to me. No, you attracted that. You know what I mean? So, you're attracting good things and bad things. You're attracting, just like the law of assumption, you're attracting, how do I want to say this? Like, law of assumption is whatever you assume to be true has to occur in your reality. So whatever you assume to be true has to happen to you, good or bad, true or false. You understand that? It's simple. Now let's move on. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. By law, those who do things in a certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, and this is kind of what Bob Proctor calls the unconscious competent, that you're successful, but you don't know why you're successful, type like that. And I'll reread that sentence because I kind of cut it off there. Those who do things in a certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich. Those who do not do things in a certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. Meaning, if they're not going with the flow of how the universal laws work. Well, no matter how much they manipulate to get them to work, how much they try to alter, how hard they work, they're going to remain poor. That's what Wallace Wattles is saying. It is a natural law that that like causes always produce like effects. Now he's talking about the law of cause and effect here. Therefore, any man or woman who learns to do these things in a certain way will infallibly get rich. Now, since he kind of brought up the law of cause and effect, and he doesn't go deep in the law of cause and effect, what's the law of cause and effect here for a second? I make you think. Make you think while I take a sip of my coffee. The law of cause and effect is the effect is our 3D world, what we're experiencing right now, okay, or our present moment, whatever you want to call it. The effect is our 3D world, but brings in our five senses: see, hear, smell, taste, test, touch. That's what we're going through right now. No matter if we like it, don't like it. Okay. The cause is us. Okay. Lots of times when we want to change our life, we try to change the effect, but you can't, because the effect is what I see, what's going on, my circumstances in my 3D world. So we go straight to the effect, but we're doing it backwards. Okay. How do you now, if you just look this looks simply how the law of cause and effect works. Okay. If you want to change the effect, how would you do that? You would change the cause. Okay, when you just look at it as a science, as an equation, if you want to change the effect of something, you would change the cause. But if I told you in manifesting, the effect is your 3D world, your circumstances you're going through right now. If if you want to change the effect and the cause is you, what would you change? If you want to change the effect, then you would have to change yourself. Okay, that's another way of looking at it. Where was I? That the above statement is true is shown by you in the following facts. Getting rich is not a matter of environment. If it were, all the people in a certain areas would become wealthy. The people of one city would all be rich, while those of other towns would all be poor. The inhabitants of one state would rail in wealth, while those of an adjoining state would be in poverty. We frequently see rich and poor living in the same environment and often engaged in the same vocations, meaning they have the same jobs, the same careers. I mean, it's kind of like why is it that one, you know, one person can be rich in a certain career and another person can be poor in the same exact career? Okay, that's what Waddles is saying. When two people are in the same locality and in the same business, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not primarily a matter of environment. Some environments may be more favorable than others, but when two people in the same business are in the same neighborhood and one gets rich while the other fails, it indicates that getting rich is a result of doing things in a certain way. And furthermore, the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possession of talent, because many people who have great talent remain poor, while others who have very little talent get rich. If we study people who have gotten rich, we will find that they are an average lot in all respects. Wow. What's Wallace Wells saying? He's basically like, most people who get rich are just really average people. They're not, they don't have any more talent than you. That's what he's saying. They're not any more talented than you. They're not any more smarter than you. At the best, is they're just average people. Okay. It is evident that we do not get rich. Let me reread that. Make sure I don't skip over words. like this book, like I've never read this book out loud. Okay, I always read this book to myself. That's why it feels weird to me reading it out loud. It is evident that they do not get rich because they possess unique talents and abilities. They get rich because they happen to do things in a certain way. Again, like when I used to be mentored by Bob Proctor would call this an unconscious competent, meaning somebody is crazy, like Alex Mosey. He can be crazy successful, but deep down, he don't really know why he's successful. You know what I mean? And I know he has like very, very kind of, I don't want to say famous, quotes. He says, you got to embrace the boredom, you, and stuff like that, especially he's talking to entrepreneurs and stuff like that. What's another one? Layla Hamosi says, like some what does she say? She has one. She has another one like I forget what she says. It's on a tip. I'll remember it like when I'm done with this live video. But she has one she says too. But it doesn't really teach you why they're successful. Okay. It just, it's true what they're saying. I'm not saying it's not true what they're saying. It's true what you're saying. When you're an entrepreneur, like you gotta embrace the boredom. There's going to be a certain period of time where basically you're doing boring stuff over and over and over and over and over again. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's sometimes as an entrepreneur, that's a trap that we fall into. Once we get bored, we want to do something else. Okay. And when we start bouncing around, then we're not really successful as an entrepreneur. We got to stay and stick to what we want to do. You know what I mean? So he's not giving you bad advice. It's just at the same time, he's not really explaining why he's successful. And the more I listen to Alex, lots of times he's done a lot of manifesting techniques, manifesting things, but they don't Layla and him don't talk about it in those terms. That's why I mean that's why Bob Proctor calls it like an unconscious competent, meaning just like I said, like meaning like they're crazy successful, but they don't know why. They can't teach you why because they don't know themselves. Okay. Bottom line, that's all they can say is like work hard, work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're in your 20s, you should be working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Take advantage of that time. That I mean, is it good advice, bad advice? You know what I mean? It's not horrible advice, but but um that's basically what they did. You know what I mean? Now where was I? We were on getting rich is not a matter of the environment. I think I oh yeah, I finished at this page. Now we're on to another page, maybe. We're almost done with this chapter. Okay. Getting rich is not the result of saving or thrift. I love this. Okay. First he was saying we talked about getting rich is not a matter of environment. And I know like if you study success and stuff like that, like environment does play an important role, but he's kind of Wallace Waddles is kind of just basically pointing out that it's not solely on your environment because basically the example he gives is two people they can live in the same environment, they can live in the same neighborhood, they can be in the same job career, and one can be rich, one can be poor. That's all he's basically saying. It's not just the fact that you get rich because of your environment. Now, granted, in success and manifesting, the better the environment, the the more it motivates you, the more you feel that energy from people and stuff like that. But he's not kind of Wallace Waddles isn't really going there. Then he continues, getting rich is not a result of saving or thrift. Hmm. Okay. Many very punitive people are poor while free spenders often get rich. Hmm. So what is he saying here? Like getting rich is not the result of saving or thrift, because now he's giving examples that there are people that basically save every penny, but they remain poor, and there's people that are spenders. They spend money like wild, but they keep on getting richer. Okay, so now he's basically just debating this statement. But he continues. I love this section. Nor is getting rich due to doing things which others fail to do. Two people in the same business often do almost the exact same things, and one gets rich while the other remains poor or becomes bankrupt. What are you in harmonious vibration with? That's a question. If getting rich is a result of doing things in a certain way, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich. And if like causes always produce like effect, he's talking about the law of cause and effect again. Okay, so put that in your mind. He's talking about the law of cause and effect again. He's just not calling it the law of cause and effect. Listen, if like causes always produce like effect, the whole matter can be brought within the domain of the exact science. That's why he said there's a science of getting rich. The question arises whether this certain way may not be so difficult that only a few may follow it. As we have seen, this cannot be true so far as natural ability is concerned. Talented people get rich and blockheads get rich. He calls them, like, this is old English, he calls them blockheads, basically dumb. Basically, that's what he's saying. He's like, talented, very talented people get rich and dumb people get rich. Okay, that's pretty much what he's saying. Sorry for the language, but that's pretty much what he's saying. He says, intellectually brilliant people get rich and very stupid people get rich. Physically strong people get rich and weak and sickly people get rich. Okay. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential, but insofar as natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Although we have seen that in a matter of an environment, location does count for something. One would not go to the heart of the Sahara and expect to do successful business. Now he's digging a little bit deeper in the environment. Remember, like a page ago, he brings up the environment, but he basically says it's not just the environment that makes you rich. Okay, that's why he brought up. I'll kind of rephrase what he was kind of reparaphrase what he was saying about the environment before. Remember when he's talking about the environment, he's really just pointing out that there could be two people that live in the same town, the same neighborhood. Okay, they have the same business, the same career, they're in the same vocation, they do the same thing, they're in the same environment, but one can be rich, one can be poor. Okay, so it's not solely on the environment. But now he kind of flips back to the environment and he says, although we have seen that it is not a matter of environment, location does count for something. Okay, getting rich involves the necessity of dealing with people and being where there are people to deal with. But that is about as far as environment matters. If anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. So basically saying, like, dude, if other people can do it, you can too. If someone else in your town, your city, if they're rich, you can be rich also. Okay. The same powers that they have that are working for them are the same powers that you have. Okay. So if somebody else in your town can get rich, so can you. If anybody else in your state can get rich, so can you. Again, it is not a matter of choosing some particular business or profession. People get rich in every business and in every profession, while their next door neighbors in the same vocation remain in poverty. So he's always comparing back and forth. Okay. It is true that you will do the best in the business that you like. And if you have certain talents which you are well developed, you will do best in a business which calls for the exercise of those talents. Okay. Now he's basically saying that it is true that you're going to do best in a career business that kind of fits you. It fits your passions, it fits your natural talents. Okay. You're going to do best in that career. Okay, that's what he's saying. Also, you will do best in a business which is suited to your locality. It's suited for where you live right now, or it's suited where you want to live. Okay. Listen, and then he kind of gives like an extreme funny example. He says an ice cream parlor would do better in a warm climate than in Greenland. Okay, like if you want to, if you want to have an ice cream shop, you don't want to have an ice cream shop in Alaska. you know, when it's cold all the time. Okay, it's better to have an ice cream shop where it's hot. That's what he's saying. Okay, a salmon a salmon fishery will succeed better in the Northwest than in Florida, where there are no salmon. Okay, you know what I mean? But aside from these general limitations, getting rich is not dependent on your engaging in some particular business, but on your learning to do things in a certain way. If you're now in a business and someone else is in your locality is getting rich in the same business while you are not getting rich, it is because you are not doing things in a certain way that the other person is doing them. Okay. That's basically, I kind of love that when I read this out loud. I catch things I normally don't catch. Because he's basically saying if now he's kind of taking like if one person in your neighborhood, you guys are in the same business again, same career or whatever, okay? Your competitor is getting rich and you're not. Look at it that way. It's a competitor of yours. A competitor of yours in the same city you live in. He's getting rich, you're not. He's getting successful, you're not. All Wallace Waddles is saying is your competitor is getting rich, he's doing things in a certain way, and you are not. That's it. That's all what's going on in the eyes of Wallace Waddles. You understand? It's kind of that simple. It's like some of this stuff is so flippin' simple, but we make it difficult. Okay. We sit there and think like it has to be something else. Always check up here, make sure I'm going live. The one time I've done it many times, not one time. Uh, like I filmed like whole videos and I forgot to push record, and I'm like, "But that was such a great video." Okay, we're almost done here. There's only a couple paragraphs here. We're on the last page. Listen, no one is prevented from getting rich by lack of capital. Now he's flipping it. Now he's kind of going on. He's talking about money now, lack of capital. Like you don't have money. Like, you ever hear the saying that it takes money to make money? You know what I mean? Listen, no one is prevented from getting rich from the lack of capital. True, as when you get capital, the increase becomes easier and more rapid. But no matter how poor you may be, if you begin to do things in a certain way, you will begin to have capital. The getting of capital is part of the process of getting rich. It is part of the result which invariably follows the doing things in a certain way. And he's kind of always saying doing things in a certain way. You might be thinking, just tell me what to do. We get to that. Don't worry. Not in this chapter, but he does get to it. That's really in chapter 4. Chapter 4 really takes off. He starts telling you how to do things in a certain way in chapter 4. You may be the poorest person on the continent. You may be the poorest person on planet Earth. You may be the poorest person in your state. You may be the poorest person in your neighborhood. Okay. And deeply in debt. But if you begin to do things a certain way, you must infallibly begin to get rich. Listen, that's what he's saying. You could be the poorest person, but once you start beginning to do things a certain way, you have to get rich. You have to. Bottom line. Oh, we got some music outside. Not music, but they do like sometimes they sell stuff in the morning and they come back and they have the big speaker system in Thailand. So the dogs howl out here. Uh, so so that's why I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it. Sometimes the mics are good. If it's overly loud, the mics pick it up. But let's continue because we're almost done. Where was I? You may be the poorest person on the continent and in deeply debt, but if you begin to do things in a certain way, you must infallibly begin to get rich. That's the good news here. That's the takeaway. Okay. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter your situation. It doesn't matter if you think there's no way out of my situation, because when you start doing things in a certain way, that's why Wallace Wallace called this. This is an exact science. If you start doing things in a certain way, you must get rich. Bottom line, it must happen to you. Okay, that's what you got to believe. Okay, listen, because like causes must produce like effects. Again, he's talking about the law of cause and effect. Because like causes must produce like effects. You will get rich even if you do not have any friends, influence, or other resources. If you have no capital, you will get capital. If you have no money, you will get money. That's what he's saying. If you are in a wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you are in the wrong location, if you're in the wrong environment, you will get in the right environment. Okay? You can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in a certain way that causes success. Okay, that's what he's saying. Don't focus on the outside. Don't focus on this is what we do. Don't focus on, well, I'll change once I move my environment. No, what Wallace is saying, you start right now where you are. Okay, you start right now where you are, in the business you have right now, in the job you have right now, in the location you are right now, in the environment you are right now. You start right now, behaving this way, doing things in a certain way. That's what he's saying. You start now, not later. You must begin to live in harmony with the laws that govern the universe. That's the biggest thing what we're not doing. Listen, you must begin to live in harmony with the laws that govern the universe. Clearly remember the law of attraction is always working, it never rests. Think it, feel it, do it, and you will attract it. This is the great secret of life. I love that. Let's reverse it here. What's the great secret of life? The great secret of life is you think it, feel it, do it, and you will attract it. This is the great secret of life. And this is the end of chapter 2, my friends. And there's I'm just seeing how long chapter 3 is. Yeah, chapter 3 is only one, two, three, four, 3.5 pages. Then we go on to chapter 4. Like I said, chapter 4 is really the meat and potatoes. Like when you keep on hearing him say you have to do things in a certain way, but he's not explaining it to you, it starts in chapter 4. So chapter 4, he really breaks apart each chapter, what you need to do, what you need to apply to your life. But this was a great chapter. Because I love this because he's really saying that, and I love the last paragraph. I almost feel like reading the last paragraph to you because to me it just speaks loud right now, the mood I'm in. I'll read it to you one more time. You may be the poorest person on a continent on planet Earth. You can be deeply in debt, but if you begin to do things in a certain way, you must invariably begin to get rich. Because like causes must produce like effect. This is the law of cause and effect. You will get rich even if you do not have any friends, any influence, or any resources. When you begin to do things in a certain way, you must begin to get rich, my friends. With no friends, no influence means you have no connections. You know what I mean? You don't have a rich influencer you can go to and say, "Hey, can you do a shout out of me?" You know what I mean? That's influence. Okay. Or resources. Resources of money. You don't have tons of money to dump into your business or tons of money to run ads like nowadays speaking. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these entrepreneurs that that make millions of dollars, like they don't really tell you. The only person that really tells you the truth, ironically, is Alex Amosi. He's the one. He came out and he started becoming ultra successful. Like he's the only one that really started to tell the truth, like how much you really have to do, or how much money you got to put towards these ads. See, I knew for more than a decade maybe 15 years how much money these guys were. If someone says they make 30 million online, they probably dump 15 million in paid ads. You know what I mean? So yeah, they dumped 15 million in paid ads. They profited 15 million. It's not really a profit because they got staff and everything else to pay and stuff like that. But they're not really telling you the real numbers. They're not really telling you what it really takes. Okay. Alex and Mosey kind of shuffled, the kind of ruffled the business because him and Layla was just coming straight at it, straight at that, straight at the oh, what word I want to use? They were just coming straight at it because for one, they just had the clout. They had, they had the success behind him. That they had the credibility behind him, making millions and millions of dollars. So with Wallace Waddles, listen, because like causes must produce like effects. You will get rich even if you have no friends, no influence, no influencer friends or resources. You have no money. You will begin to get rich. If you have no capital, you will get capital. If you are in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you are in the wrong location, if you're in the wrong environment, you can get in the right location. You can get in the right environment. You can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in a certain way, which causes success. So he basically saying right here is you start right now today where you are in your current job, your current environment, your current living situation. You start right now. You must begin to live in harmony with the laws that govern in the universe. Clearly remember the law of attraction is always working, it never rests. Okay. That's a powerful paragraph. Okay. I was going to do two chapters of one, but honestly, I kind of forgot like these first three chapters. I kind of forgot how good they really are. They really are like setting the tone of the chapters of when we get to chapter four, the meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes, my friend. But anyway, tribe, just wanted to go live with you, uh, see who's popping on. Go ahead and do the book review. And like I said, I'm kind of playing with the times here. Being in Thailand time, it is a little bit of a just a time zone. It can be a little bit of a nuisance, but I can't let that kind of hold me back. I kind of done that in the past where I let it I don't go live or do things because I think, everybody's sleeping. It's 2 p.m. here when I want to go live. No, everybody back home in the States or Europe is sleeping. Okay. They're already in their REM sleep. So, but I can't let that kind of hold me back. So I kind of play with the times here to kind of see if there's a sweet point of kind of coming on live and try to go live at that time. But we'll see. We'll work with it and I'll experiment with it and kind of see if we can find that little sweet spot. Then, in time to time, now this year, this is February, so this year I am going home to visit family around June. So I usually go home for 3, 4 months. So for those 3, 4 months, like when I go live or whatever, I'll be right in the United States time frame. So that will be good. Uh, but here, just trying to find that little sweet spot where people are on and I'm not kind of going live when at 5 p.m. and everyone's getting off work, stuff like that. But we'll play with it. We'll see. We'll see, tribe. We'll figure this stuff out. Okay. But for me, honestly, it's just getting the habit of doing it. This is something, kind of been there's a couple goals I want, like when I'm coming into the new year and stuff like that. Like, and I've been consistent on YouTube for like 3 years now. Like when I came back to YouTube, my only goal was to just be consistent. And that's how simple it was. Okay. And but once that's consistent, and I did other things along that a line as well. I don't have to think about it so much. I don't have to think of, oh my God, I got to post. So now like this year, it's really kind of fine tuning, and I know going live, the streaming, whatever you want to call it, is something that 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 really needs to be done. The bottom line, you know, needs to be done every day. So so that's something I definitely have to do. That's why I'm just like, if I get up, have my coffee, if I feel like going live, I'm just going to go live. Okay. Sometimes as the day goes on, the the day the day gets ahead of me. A lot of notifications there. But anyway, tribe, remember I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next live. I don't know what time yet, but 100% I'm gonna go live. But anyway, peace out, and I'll see you in the next live. Then I'll see how to turn this baby off my phone. Okay, that's not it. Let me see. Oh, one thing I do love on the phone is like I'm sure you can do it on your desktop. Is that you can copy a link and send out like I'm live on other platforms. Sometimes I forget to do that, but oh well. That's something I need to do later on. But let me see here. How do I turn this off? One of these times I'm going to turn this off. Oh yeah, here it is.